in my ability to have increased capacity is I felt myself starting to get overwhelmed. And so one of my battle drills, one of the things that I did not quite immediately, but pretty close to almost immediately after I started to feel overwhelmed was immediately journaled my thoughts and actually did a mind map, which are bubbles of putting all that stuff that was all swimming around my brain onto paper in a visual diagram. So it would help me be able to process that information a lot easier. And now that I've had it on paper, now it was not swimming around in my brain anymore, which was awesome.
Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
Leaders, influencers, and entrepreneurs. So my epiphany recently that I've had as a result of going through this emotional growth journey has been capacity and agility, two things that have been directly impacted by my emotional growth journey. And again, unintentionally, it wasn't like I intentionally worked on my capacity or intentionally worked on my agility. But as a result of working on my EQ in different areas, these are two other areas that have been directly impacted, and I just want to share them with you. So in the recent past, and for a number of years, the more information I would get, I would reach a point where I would completely shut down based on my capacity. It's like on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being huge capacity, 1 being no capacity. My ability to consume and process a lot of information and new information were extremely limited, again, based on evidently my EQ. As I have been growing my EQ, it's been really fascinating to observe in myself, and just even being aware of this, even just being self-aware of this, is that as my EQ has grown, so has my capacity. I recently got, a few different situations with a lot of new information. And so a lot of information and new information. So both things that were previously triggers, now I've realized that both in the last two to three different scenarios where I've received a lot of information and new information, and so therefore a lot of new information. One of the three, I did shut down for 2 or 3 days, and then was able to re-engage with that information again. Whereas normally I would shut down and then go into my other default tendency, which is avoidance. So, but the other 2 of the 3 lots of new information have not shut me down, and I've been able to think through and process. Now, something that was huge in my ability to have increased capacity is I felt myself starting to get overwhelmed. And so one of my battle drills, one of the things that I did not quite immediately, but pretty close to almost immediately after I started to feel overwhelmed was immediately journaled my thoughts and actually did a mind map, which are bubbles of putting all that stuff that was all swimming around my brain onto paper in a visual diagram, so it would help me be able to process that information a lot easier. And now that I've had it on paper, now it was not swimming around in my brain anymore, which was awesome. As a result of an increased capacity based on my emotional growth, the other dynamic is being more mentally agile. You know, in the past, I would have fight change. My default was disagree, defend the current way that I've been doing a certain thing or whatever. And now I've noticed, so not only an increase in capacity, but also an increase in mental agility, mental and emotional agility, which is humongous as we move in, further into the 21st century. That's going to become a crucial skill set, is having an increase in mental agility. So those would be two things to ask yourself: is what is your mental and emotional capacity, and what is your mental and emotional agility? How mental and emotional agile are you? And what are those things that are currently impacting your mental and emotional capacity and your agility as an entrepreneur, as a leader, as an influencer? I think both of those areas are critical areas to continue to grow in and develop, again, as an entrepreneur, as an influencer, as a leader. So things to consider, things to process and evaluate in yourself. So anyway, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Please review, subscribe, share, and let us know what points are resonating with you. How are you doing in your growth journey? Whether it's, you share with us on the 360 Movement Personal Growth Tribe or the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. We'd love to hear from you, and we are so excited to be a part of this emotional growth journey with you as you and we continue to get emotionally healthy, fit, and free to increase our impact and effectiveness in business and in life.